I, female 29, kicked my boyfriend's mom out of my apartment for constantly criticizing my cleaning. Did I go too far? Throwaway, because my BF knows my main account and I really need some outside perspective on this whole mess. Okay, so I, female 29, have been with Jonathan, male 32, for almost 2 years now. We met at this networking event through mutual friends. I was honestly only there for the free appetizers, and we just really clicked. He works at this finance firm downtown, and I'm a graphic designer at a mid-sized agency. Things have been pretty great between us for the most part, and we've actually been talking about moving in together soon, which is partly why this whole situation is stressing me out so much. Some background. Jonathan's dad passed away about 5 years ago from a sudden heart attack. He was only 57 and seemed totally healthy. Ever since then, his mom Vicky, female, 62, has been getting more and more involved in his life. I totally get it. She's lonely, and they've always been close, but it's getting to be a lot. Vicky lives about an hour away, but she visits literally every other weekend and usually stays overnight in my guest room. I've been pretty patient with her, at least I think I have, because I understand losing your husband of 30+ years must be devastating, and Jonathan is her only son. She also has a daughter, but they don't seem super close from what I can tell. So here's the issue that's been driving me insane for the past 6 months. Whenever Vicky comes over, she rewashes all my dishes. All of them. And not just dishes I've recently used. She'll literally open my cabinets, take out clean dishes, and wash them again. She'll inspect glasses and tell me they have spots or that there's still residue on the plates. And I'm just standing there thinking, what residue? These dishes are clean. She makes comments about how she doesn't know how Jonathan eats off these, or that this is how a proper home should be maintained while scrubbing my already clean dishes. I actually take a lot of pride in keeping my place clean. My grandmother taught me how to wash dishes when I was 8 years old. I remember standing on a step stool at her sink and her showing me how to check for spots. I used to volunteer at an animal shelter before work got too crazy, and they were super strict about dish cleaning for the animals' health, so I know how to properly sanitize things. I've tried to address it politely so many times. I'll tell her I've already washed those dishes or that my dishwasher does a thorough job, but she just ignores me or says she's just helping me out in this condescending tone that makes me want to scream. And Jonathan is zero help. Every time I try to get him to say something, he just shrugs and says that's just how his mom is, or that she's trying to help, or that it makes her feel useful. By the way, my apartment isn't some gross bachelor pad or something. I've spent 3 years decorating it exactly how I want it. Everything has its place. I'm not a neat freak, but I'm definitely organized and clean. I've also been dealing with these horrible migraines recently that have been getting worse, and the last thing I need is someone implying I'm living in filth. About a month ago, things got worse. Vicky was in my kitchen and picked up a glass from my cabinet, examining it closely like there was something wrong with it. She pointed out water spots with a dramatic sigh. When I told her they were clean because I had just run the dishwasher yesterday, she completely ignored me and started filling my sink with hot water. Then she took out rubber gloves from her purse. She came prepared to criticize my cleaning. Jonathan walked in and I gave him a look asking for help, but he just said his mom loves clean dishes with a little laugh like it was some cute quirk. Vicky then told me Jonathan always appreciated a clean home while looking directly at me. I tried changing the subject to our dinner plans, but she just kept rewashing everything. I was so humiliated and angry, but didn't want to make a scene. The final straw happened during her visit this weekend. Jonathan had a mandatory work dinner he couldn't get out of, so it was just me and Vicky. She showed up with her overnight bag and pulled out her own dish soap and those damn rubber gloves, saying she brought her own supplies since mine just don't cut it. I literally use 7th generation soap, which is not cheap, by the way. She didn't just stop at the dishes this time. She started going on about how the bathroom needed a deep clean. I had cleaned it that morning, and that my floors weren't properly mopped. She even opened my refrigerator and started making comments about how things should be organized differently. I honestly thought maybe she was just trying to be helpful at first. Like maybe this is just her way of showing she cares. But I've realized it's really about control and trying to establish that she's the authority in my space. The worst part was when I found her reorganizing my kitchen cabinets without even asking. She was taking out all my plates and cups and rearranging them completely differently. That's when I just snapped. While she was in the bathroom, I grabbed all her stuff, her suitcase, toiletries, those stupid rubber gloves, everything, and put it all outside my apartment door. I wrote a note telling her that since my home isn't clean enough for her standards, she might be more comfortable elsewhere. Then I locked my door, turned off my phone, and went to bed. I know it sounds super dramatic, but I was just done. Completely done. This morning I woke up to like 20 missed calls from Jonathan and some really angry texts. Apparently Vicky called him crying, saying I threw her out in the middle of the night. It was like 9 p.m., but whatever. I haven't responded to any of his messages yet, because I honestly don't know what to say. Part of me feels justified because I've tried to address this politely so many times and no one listens to me. But another part wonders if I went too far by basically forcing her to get a hotel or drive an hour home at night. Has anyone dealt with something like this? I'm starting to think Jonathan and I might not be compatible if he can't see how disrespectful his mom is being to me in my own home. And yes, it's my apartment that I had before we started dating. He doesn't even pay rent here, even though he stays over most nights. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. To answer some common questions. 1. No. Jonathan doesn't stand up for me at all when his mom does this stuff. He either ignores it or acts like I'm overreacting. 2. Yes, I've tried talking to him about it multiple times when his mom isn't around. He always says he'll talk to her, but never actually does. 3. For those asking about our future plans, we've been talking about getting a place together when my lease is up in 4 months. This situation is making me seriously reconsider that. Before, someone asked if there are other red flags with Jonathan. Honestly, not really. He's generally super supportive of my career, we have similar values, and he's usually really considerate. This blind spot with his mom is the only major issue, but it's becoming a really big one. Edit 3. Oh God, Jonathan just texted that he's coming over after work to discuss what happened. I'm honestly dreading it. We'll update if anything major happens. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post. Where to even start? When I woke up the morning after kicking Vicky out, I had 35 missed calls. I'm not exaggerating. 19 from Jonathan, 12 from Vicky, and this was unexpected, 4 from Robin, Jonathan's sister, who I've only met like twice at family events. I basically never talked to her. Turns out Vicky called Jonathan at 6 freaking a.m. telling him I had thrown her out like garbage and left her to sleep in the hallway all night, which is complete BS. I put her stuff outside my door and she went to a hotel, which I confirmed later. She made it sound like I physically pushed her onto the street in the middle of the night or something. Jonathan came home furious. He literally left work in the middle of the day, which he never does. His boss is super strict about that kind of thing. He didn't even text me he was coming. Just used his key and burst in while I was in the middle of a work Zoom call. I had to make up some emergency to my team, which was super embarrassing. The argument was bad, like really bad. He came in practically yelling, asking what the hell I was thinking. I tried to explain that I'd reached my breaking point after months of criticism in my own home, but he just cut me off, saying she was his mother and that I had embarrassed her. He couldn't believe I'd been so disrespectful. I pointed out all the ways his mom had been disrespecting me in my apartment for months, and he basically said I was overreacting to helpful advice, his exact words. I brought up specific things like the rubber gloves, the comments about my dishes, rearranging my cabinets, and he just dismissed everything as me being too sensitive. At one point, I actually started crying, which I hate doing during arguments, and asked why he never stands up for me when his mom criticizes me. And then he said something that honestly made my stomach drop. He said, "Family comes first," in this tone that made it very clear I'm not considered family, like at all. I realized I was fighting a losing battle. I literally couldn't get through to him. It was like talking to a wall. He left to go pick up Vicky from the hotel and take her to his place, saying I needed to apologize before we could move forward, whatever that means. I've actually been staying at my friend Kimberly's place for the past few days. I just needed some space to clear my head and not be in the apartment where all this happened. Kim's been great, even though her cat keeps trying to sleep on my face at night, lol. This is all extra painful because Jonathan and I had been talking about getting a dog together next month. We'd even gone to the shelter twice to look at this one mixed breed pup that we both fell in love with. I keep thinking about that dog and it makes me so sad. I know that's stupid with everything else going on, but whatever. My brain is all over the place right now. There's so much history between us that makes this hard. Like last year when Jonathan got super sick right before this huge presentation at work, stayed up for 3 days, helping him redo all his slides and research while taking care of him. I even practiced the presentation with him like 20 times until he felt confident. And now he can't even hear me out about his mom disrespecting my space. I guess I have issues with criticism to begin with because of my own mom. She never thought graphic design was a real career and wanted me to do accounting like her. For years, she'd send me job listings for accounting positions, even though I've told her a million times I'd literally rather die than do accounting. No offense to accountants, just not my thing. I haven't been sleeping well at all since this happened. I keep replaying the argument in my head and thinking of all the things I should have said. There's also stuff about Vicky that I didn't mention in my first post because I was focused on the dish thing. But now I realize it's all part of the same pattern. She constantly rearranges my furniture when she thinks I'm not looking. Like I'll go to the bathroom and come back to find my throw pillows in different positions or my coffee table moved slightly. She makes these little suggestions about my appearance all the time. My hair is too messy, or my clothes are not flattering, or my makeup is a bit much for daytime. It's literally just mascara and lip gloss most days. She constantly brings up Jonathan's ex-girlfriend, Jackie, who was apparently such a wonderful cook and so organized and basically perfect in every way. Cool. She's always questioning my career choices and suggesting more stable jobs. Once she literally brought me a printout of job listings for executive assistant positions because it would be more reliable than that art thing you do. I'm a professional graphic designer with a degree in clients, and she calls Jonathan multiple times every day just to check in. Like minimum 3 to 4 calls plus texts, and he answers every time. Here's the weirdest part of this whole mess. Jonathan's sister Robin called me the day after everything happened. We've barely talked before, so I was surprised. She started by apologizing for reaching out behind Jonathan's back, but said she felt like she needed to tell me something. Then she told me something shocking. Apparently this isn't the first time this has happened. Vicky has done similar things to all of Jonathan's previous girlfriends. Robin told me that Vicky basically drove away Jonathan's college girlfriend by constantly criticizing her, and Jonathan never did anything to stop it. Robin said she tried talking to Jonathan about it years ago, but he completely shut her down. I asked Robin why Jonathan never stands up to his mom, and she explained that after their dad died, Jonathan took on this weird responsibility for his mom's happiness. Like he thinks it's his job to make sure she's never upset about anything ever. Robin offered to talk to Jonathan for me, but she didn't seem hopeful it would help. I thanked her but said Jonathan needs to figure this out himself. Then she warned me that Vicky is telling family members that I assaulted her when I kicked her out, which is absolutely not true. I didn't even speak to her when I put her stuff outside. Looking back, I think I completely misinterpreted Jonathan's conflict avoidance as patience. Like, I used to think he was just this chill guy who didn't let things bother him. But now I see he's not avoiding conflict. He's enabling his mom's behavior. I mean, I completely understand his loyalty to family. Family is important. But I also feel totally betrayed that he won't stand up for me at all. Not even a little bit. Jonathan has texted me a few times asking to talk, but every single message includes something like, "Mom is really hurt," or "Mom deserves an apology." Not once has he acknowledged how I might be feeling, or that his mom did anything wrong. I've agreed to meet him for coffee tomorrow at this neutral cafe we both like. I'm honestly not sure what's going to happen. Part of me wants to fight for our relationship because I do love him, and we've had so many good times together. But another part is realizing that maybe we have fundamentally incompatible priorities. If he's always going to put his mom's feelings above mine, even when she's clearly in the wrong, I don't know if I can live like that. I'll update again after our coffee meeting. I'm trying to prepare myself for any outcome. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I've blocked Vicky's number. Yes, I have. After the 12th call, I blocked her. But I haven't blocked Jonathan yet, because I'm still hoping we can work this out somehow. Now for the second update. Hey Reddit. This is probably my final update on this whole situation with Jonathan and his mom. First, thank you to literally everyone who commented with advice and support. So it's been about 2 weeks since everything went down. I've had very little contact with Jonathan during this time. Just a few texts here and there. I've been staying at my own apartment again after crashing at Kim's for a few days. And honestly, it's been weirdly peaceful, without the constant anxiety of wondering when Vicky would show up to criticize my dishwashing technique or whatever. Jonathan finally agreed to meet for coffee this past weekend. I could tell right away that he was expecting me to apologize. Like, he had this whole expectation that I'd had time to calm down and would be ready to make things right with his mom. So we sit down and literally the first thing he says is, "Have you calmed down enough to talk about apologizing to my mom?" Not even a hello or how are you or anything. I was honestly shocked, even though I probably shouldn't have been. I told him straight up that I wasn't going to apologize for setting boundaries in my own home. He seemed genuinely surprised that I wasn't remorseful, like the thought that I might still stand by my actions hadn't even crossed his mind. I asked if he understood why I was upset in the first place. He kind of shrugged and said, "I guess the dishwashing thing was a bit much, but it's not worth fighting over." I tried to explain that it wasn't just about the dishes. It was about a whole pattern of disrespect and criticism that had been going on for months, and about him never standing up for me. He said he would talk to Mom about the dishes, which completely missed the point. When I tried to explain this was about more than just dishes, he got super defensive and accused me of attacking his family. I realized that he fundamentally could not see the issue, like we were speaking completely different languages. During the time we were apart, I've been doing a lot of thinking about our relationship. I also had this really long talk with my sister about relationship dynamics. She went through something similar with her ex's parents, always criticizing her cooking. I've also been hanging out with friends I honestly kind of neglected while dating Jonathan. I didn't even realize how much I'd pulled back from them until Megan mentioned it was the first time we'd gotten drinks in like 3 months. That was a bit of a wake-up call. Oh, and I found this old journal from when Jonathan and I first started dating. And even back then, I was writing about feeling uncomfortable with how often his mom called him and how he'd drop everything to help her with random tasks. So I guess the signs were there from the beginning. I just didn't want to see them. Looking back at some of my early journal entries was honestly embarrassing. I was so obviously making excuses for red flags. After our coffee meeting, I went back to my apartment feeling pretty defeated. I remember walking in and thinking something felt off. Little things were just slightly different. My mail that had been scattered on the counter was neatly stacked and sorted, which I never do. Kitchen towels were folded in this weird triangle way I never use, and my bathroom products had been rearranged slightly. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid, like maybe I had organized things before leaving and forgotten about it. But I started paying closer attention to everything in my apartment. I even took photos of how I left things before going out. The weird inconsistencies kept happening. I found this different brand of dish soap under my sink that I never bought. My laundry basket had been rearranged with all my dark clothes separated out. I never sort laundry until I'm actually doing it. And the spare bedroom that I use as an office had been tidied when I literally hadn't been in there for days. I seriously thought I was losing my mind. I even Googled early signs of memory loss because I was that confused about what was happening. I mentioned it to my friend Kim, who suggested setting up a nanny cam. I was literally about to order one when I noticed something else. One of my kitchen drawers wasn't closing properly because something was stuck at the back. I pulled the drawer out completely and found a receipt stuck behind it. It was from a local grocery store for dish soap, sponges, and cleaning supplies, dated 3 days earlier, with Vicky's credit card info on it. I called Jonathan immediately and straight up asked if he gave his mom a key to my apartment. There was this long pause, and then he admitted it. He had given her a copy of his key to my place just for emergencies, months ago, without telling me, without my permission. I asked what possible emergency would require his mom to enter my apartment when no one was home. He claimed it was normal mother behavior to want to help out her son's girlfriend. I tried to explain how violating it felt to know someone had been in my private space, touching my things, cleaning my already clean apartment without my knowledge or consent. And you know what he said? That I was making a big deal out of nothing, and that I should be grateful his mom cared enough to help me keep things properly clean. I told him this was a massive violation of my privacy and my trust. Then he had the audacity to accuse me of trying to come between him and his mother when I said this was a deal breaker for me. His exact words were, "If you can't accept my mother, you can't accept me." I told him we were done and hung up. Then I immediately called a locksmith and had my locks changed that same day. Cost me $175, but honestly, best money I've ever spent. I packed up all of Jonathan's stuff from my apartment. His extra clothes, toiletries, that pillow he insisted on having, all of it, and left the boxes outside his door while he was at work. Yeah, the irony of putting his stuff outside his door, just like I did with Vicky's things, wasn't lost on me. His sister Robin reached out again after she heard about the breakup. She told me something I hadn't known before. Jonathan was actually engaged to his ex Jackie. Apparently they broke up because of similar issues with Vicky constantly interfering and Jonathan never standing up for Jackie. I guess some patterns never change. Jonathan has tried to reconcile multiple times over the past week, but every single attempt includes conditions about how I need to respect his mother and be more understanding of their close relationship. Yeah, no thanks. He showed up unannounced at my apartment 3 days ago. I didn't let him in. Afterwards, I had 35 missed calls that I didn't answer. 35. I'm starting to see where he gets his excessive calling behavior from. I'd be lying if I said I don't miss him sometimes. We had a lot of good times together, and I really did love him. But I'm also feeling this weird sense of relief. My apartment feels like mine again. I don't have to worry about being judged for how I load my dishwasher or fold my towels. Thanks again for the support. Edit. Some people are asking if I'm going to pursue legal action for the unauthorized entry. Honestly, I just want to move on with my life. The locks are changed, they no longer have access to my space, and that's what matters most to me right now.